Hello and welcome to my Ruthlessly Simplified Shadow Empire guide. So, picture the scene. I'm hanging around the Slytherin forums. I'm hanging around Steam pages for various Slytherin games. And I just keep hearing about this Shadow Empire game that's so good. And so I have access to it. So I thought, I'll download it and I'll play it. And it should be fun. Or at least I'll get a good idea of what it's like. And getting started in this game was so frustrating. It actually took me weeks to really actually understand how to play this game. But it's because there's just loads of detail that comes at you and you're thinking about all of it. But actually, a lot of that detail is not necessary to just play at a basic standard that will actually let you enjoy the game and be successful. So, without any further ado, we're going to get started. I'm just going to kill my camera here because you need to see the whole screen for this one. So let's just cut out the camera. Goodbye, camera. I suppose I can get rid of my block as well. There we go. Okay, so start a new game. And what I do is just leave all the options default and everything random, and just understand that no matter what you pick, even if you try and pick preferable options or whatever, some starts will be almost impossible to win and others will actually be very easy, and it depends on who surrounds you when you start, which is not something that you can really customize here. So I just went for an unclassified planet, didn't bother with any of that stuff. I just added air forces because why play without a feature. And I changed the difficulty level to regular because beginner has some crutches which you'll get used to, and then you'll have them kicked out from under you when you start playing on regular, and then you'll end up having to relearn the game from the beginning. So I wouldn't do that if I were you. Continue. That's it, just continue. Ignore all of this. It's really not necessary for you to know any of this to actually get started playing the game and enjoying the game. So continue, 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 start game. No need to understand any of that. Don't spend hours like I did thinking about all of that stuff and re-rolling it to see how it changed. Give your empire a name. You can customize it how it looks if you like. So your first sort of real choices here are what government type you want. I just went with enforcement, fist, and autocracy. So basically a really militant nation, because that just makes life a little easier for me. Might makes right and all that. Okay, start turn. So this is fluff, this is fluff, this is fluff. Okay, so these are your first set of cards. We'll talk about that in a second. This is your second set of cards. We'll talk about them in a second. Okay, so this screen normally reveals which faction leaders you have, because they'll appear under these and say, and get a plus or minus boost to their relation based on whether they agree with these various profiles. It looks like on this start, I have not got any faction leaders that care. So I'll just go with whatever I like. Let's go with fist.
Understood.
Okay, so most people add an economic council here. What will happen is this pop-up will occur sort of every 7 turns or something along those lines. But how they work is you assign a person to them, and then they automatically generate the thing for you. So the Economic Council, it automatically generates the cards that allow you to search for resources. The Military Research Council automatically researches things for you. That's the next one that you should get. Then the Model Design Council takes that military research and turns it into models that you can deploy. So that would be the next thing that you add. And then the Staff Council takes the military research and models that have come together to create units and puts them into organizations that you can actually deploy. So it's almost set up for you to go this, 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 then this. And that's a perfectly fine strategy which I use all the time. So that's what I would do. Start with Economic Council. And just add the other ones as they pop up. You can rush the process, but there's no need to, and it may be counterproductive to do so. Okay, dismiss this, dismiss this. Okay, first things first. Your city has a danger level. The danger level it corresponds to how many enemy units are near your city within 4 tiles. What you really need to do is, so danger seriously impacts the functionality of your city. So what you really need to do ASAP is expand in all directions so that you have at least 4 spaces of controlled territory in every direction around your city. Don't let any other entity control the area around your city. That's really important, because you know, if you have an enemy unit, say here, and you can't do anything about it, the danger level in your city will just ramp up and up and up and up, and happiness will go down and down and down and down, and then you'll find yourself in a death spiral from which there's no recovery unless you remove the intruder. Now, before we go running off in all directions, though we have to, we don't really have any choice in the matter, the strategic map will allow you to see what these areas are. So in this case, they're all minor regimes. And that's fine. Now, this is what I was saying earlier, keeping it ruthlessly simple. If these are all slavers, I am a dead man, because slavers are very militant, they have very strong militaries, they will be able to overpower you early, and they will take a lot of offense to you being near them. If they're all farmers, then life's going to be very easy, because the farmers will let you take all the territory that you need to take, and then they will send you a message saying we should respect each other's borders, and you'll say yes, and then you'll establish a nice area that's yours, and they'll leave you alone. So, anyway, let's move our guys out. So this 20 strength militia is one of your big units. Okay, off we go. You can move in bits, you don't have to move in one big sweep. Alright, sweet, we actually found a perk here. We can check that perk in assets. Oh, nice, 80 industrial points. That's actually huge. That's actually something really big. We'll come to that in a second, okay? Over here. Okay, so what I want to do now is I want to, next turn, sweep around a little bit to create this 4-zone buffer around my city. Okay, so that's that done. Next thing, go to your strat cards, go to nation. You will almost certainly have some kind of disaster card. Basically what these cards do is they inflict damage on you. Literally, they hurt you. That's all they do. But you get fate points, and fate points can be spent for nice things. So early on, it's worth using these because they do the least damage right at the beginning. To give you an example, this one adds danger, which affects the happiness of my city. There are others that damage your population and so on and so forth. A lot of them, they do percentage damage to your town, but early on, you'll find a lot of linear bonuses that will make up for it. So, if you're going to use these, it's best to use them early. Now, how are you going to make that decision? The decision is made based on which cards you have available that are nice. So, for example, here, you have traveling teachers, which will add a school to your city. Now that is actually pretty good, because this will damage happiness in the short term, because it adds a load of danger, which will decline over time. And this will grant happiness in the long term because the school will generate points which makes the citizens happy. So it's worth doing in this case. So we're going to run this.
Roger that.
We gained 27 danger, which is going to damage our happiness, but it will decline over time. And then we're going to deploy
Roger that.
the school. There are other ones like the Gladiator Pit, which are also similar in that they provide building which you'll basically have for the whole game. Okay, so what's important to you is making units, right, to fight with, and the resources that will allow you to make those units, or make more of those units, or expand your economy. That's actually what matters. So, the first thing is to explain how you make units. So, select your city, click the raise formation button, and here you've got a complicated screen that sort of implies to you that you only have 16% of the resources necessary to make anything. So you have sizes here. So like here it says that I have 55% of the resources available to make a particular brigade. And you can actually raise the brigade if you have 55% of the items for it. But then you'll have to go through the process of repairing it and all that kind of thing later. The only reason why I actually have enough resources to make things right now is because I found that very nice bonus early. Anyway, you actually want to ignore these organized or operational HQ units for now because they are too resource intensive. Instead, what you want to do is you want to click independent. Now you can see that there are various independent units that you can make, such as machine gunners, motorized machine gunners, buggies, etc, etc, etc. Now, here's the thing. Militia are self-repairing, and they're also garbage. So, what I recommend that you do is, these machine gun battalions are in fact incredibly cheap. And you can actually make regimental-sized ones very cheaply. Now, a regimental-sized machine gun troop is a fantastic early game piece of kit that will actually take you to like turn 50, no problem. It's literally four or five times better than anything else you could get your hands on this early. Now, there is a school of thought that getting some buggies is also a great idea because you can scout with them and they're quite tough and solid units in their own right. So it is up to you. And in my case here, I just have loads of open space all around me. You might want to consider, instead of raising a stronger 1,800 machine gun unit, which would be better in combat. In most cases, we might want to just actually raise the small 500 men version ones so that we literally have more units to actually send out around us to create our perimeter. Okay, so I'll just make one now as an example. Okay, and there it is. So, if you're paying attention to the resources there, the things that you need to make military units are industrial points and metal, ammunition and food. Now, the key bottleneck is metal and production. So, the only way to get more production is to construct an industrial building, which this will produce 50 production per turn. But the metal cost is absolutely prohibitive early on. It's 500 times 3, so it's like 1,500. That is more metal than you're going to see in like 30 turns. So you can't do it. And you'd also have to buy some machines as well, which you would use the trade window for that. Click the trade window and you can buy various things for credits. So that's not going to happen. You need to build up your metal reserves first. So how do you build up your metal reserves? Well, there are two ways. You put a mine on a metal deposit, which I've never managed to find one. In 20 games, I've never managed to find a metal deposit. I don't know if I've just been unlucky or what. However, the other choice is if you have ruins, you can put a recycling center on the ruins. And that will provide you with a steady supply of metal. And that is what I recommend that you do. So you can actually build in any tile that you like. Because the three key things that you're going to need is a truck stop so that you can deliver supplies to your troops on the front line, a recycling center to produce metal, or a metal mine to produce metal, and then eventually your industrial building level 1, which is going to produce industrial points for you. You need those three things to fuel purchase of military units. So let us construct in this tile a recycling facility. It only costs 50 metal for 2 rounds, so it costs 100 metal, which we can pay for, no problem. 2 rounds of 125 production, which this may take you 5 or 6 turns to acquire normally. And 2 machines. So I'll start construction of this as a matter of priority. And we will, through the trade screen, we will buy the 2 machines that we require.
Understood.
Now, I've been extremely lucky on this start because I've received an asset here, this degraded mechanized industry that provides 80 industrial points at the start of my turn. That is effectively more, is it more or equivalent to what industry level 1 will do for me? So this is an amazing start. Economics wise, this is actually a hugely massive great start. Yeah, the industry level 1 will only produce 50. So it's actually better than my industrial building, but you will probably not be so lucky. At some point you'll also want to get the bureaucrat offices, because that will allow you to do research, but you want to wait until your second organization is done. So after the economic council, when you get the option to add the military research council, that's when you want the bureaucratic offices. Although you can get it earlier if you have the resources available. Okay, nothing else is really necessary to do early on. So let's end the turn. These MG troops as well, they're very good if they don't move. So you can use them to create a wall around your starting location. Okay, so the militia forces are holding a parade. Okay, we found some weaponry in one of the nearby towns. Oh, we found some recruits. We found 5 machinery. I wish I hadn't bought machinery now, but oh well, whatever. What's done is done. Okay, so we found a special unit here. Let's have a look at this. I've actually never seen the special unit before. Ancient Galactic Republic equipment. Wow. That's really good. Probably like 4 times, at least 4 times better than anything I have access to right now. Okay, so let's move the machine gun around here. This S1 HQ is your supreme military organization, if you will. And the leader of that organization affects combat roles for all the units that you have. You can't move it. It does have a personal guard that protects it, but really, if your city is under attack or can be attacked, you should have military there to defend it. But that's not the case right now. Okay, so I'm just going to expand my borders to include this town, because you can get little bonuses from these towns. But don't be greedy, because you don't know what these regimes that are around you are, and some of them will take offense. So I think this is the extent of as far as I want to go in that direction. Okay, so I'm creating a perimeter here. There might be something here and here because this unit has not revealed the tiles around it, which usually indicates that there's something there. Okay, so now we have like a million decisions to make, but nothing has really changed about what you need to do. You need to collect metal, you need to produce industrial points, and then you will need to provide logistics for your guys. So this second tab here, if you click the bottlenecks button, you can currently see your supply radius for all your units. Now, since they're all in different places and supplies go out in all directions, there isn't a problem. But what will happen is that you'll have enough military that it becomes a problem supplying it all. So if you look at your city, you will see that there is a private transport hub, and there's also private scavenging and a private farm. So what private stuff does is it provides a fraction of its production to you and the rest to your private economy, which builds up by itself. So if you want these nice things for yourself, which you do, and you don't want to sabotage the private economy by nationalizing it all, you need to build it for yourself in a tile next to your city. Basically create an urban area outside of your city, which I have chosen here to be the tile above my city. So it is from here that I will eventually add a truck station and a supply base. But these, obviously, they cost industrial points to produce as well, and I'm quite hard limited by industrial points right now, despite having a huge bonus to them. So we will want to wait until our recycling facility is finished before we build the truck station, before we build the supply base. Now, supply bases can be built anywhere, well, like everything really, but you actually want to build them on your front line eventually. But you do need one truck stop near your city to ferry supplies basically from your city out to your future supply bases in the future. Yeah, in the future. Supply bases that you build, like here, maybe in this town here, maybe one here, maybe one here. Those supply bases, you need a truck stop to actually feed them. And roads will build to them automatically, but all of that costs industrial points. Industrial points and metals are the key limiters that limit everything you do in this game heavily. Like, I can't build any units now because my industrial points are lost to me. So if I went to raise a formation and I decided that I wanted some more machine gunners, I can only do 60% because it's this 20 industrial points that's the issue. And building too much will just create the industrial point shortage death spiral that will kill you. So this is why it's so important to gather metal, build recycling centers and gather metal early, so that you have the big ton of metal to use to then get the industrial building that will produce industrial points for you. You'll be fighting these two resources for the first 40 turns of your campaign, no problem. Okay, so in terms of decisions, it's generally a good idea to just pick the ones that your leadership likes, that don't cost you too much. You'll always get this militia parade decision, so just go with the 200 credits option. That's usually the best one.
Understood.
So you can see here, look, one of your leaders doesn't like this. However, the other option is going to cost us 250 credits, which is actually quite a lot of money this early in the game, so I'm just going to actually say no.
Yes.
Unfortunately, that is the leader of my army there that I've annoyed, so we'll have to try and find a way to make him happier later.
Understood.
I just accept the standard budget for everything. You know, no problem with that. You know, adjust these things when you really understand them, but early on, all the defaults will not destroy you. Hey, demand I hire their candidate.
Understood.
Yeah, fine, whatever. Doesn't mean that I'm going to use the candidate. Okay, new director for Economic Council. So this is the first of the 4 councils that you really need. These people will grow into the roles. So just consider which faction they're with. Because adding candidates from various factions can cause you problems. So this guy likes militia, enforcement, mind. This faction is about autocracy and enforcement. Well, we chose options early on to steer our empire towards autocracy and enforcement, so that's fine. That's going to be the faction that actually likes us.
Aye, aye, sir.
Okay, Economic Council,
Aye,
just
aye,
set
sir.
the standard priorities, no problem with that. Okay, one of the minor factions next to us wants an oath of peace. Okay, we don't want to annoy this faction without knowing what faction he is. Minor regime. What regime he is. We need to know. So let's just make him happy. So if I go back to the strat map, I should be able to tell what that faction is now, because he's come and spoken to me. Religious fanatics, but we're at peace with them, so that's okay. And we'll see that another one has appeared on our doorstep here. You don't want to take too much of their territory because it's going to reduce your relationship with them. The more of their territory you take, the more it's going to reduce it. And then if you find out that they're slavers and they just come for you with full force, you're going to be fighting a war for 30 turns. And that's going to suck. You can see here that this has gone red. This indicates that we have an agreement not to enter their territory. And entering it will effectively be a declaration of war. And we could take all this territory up here because it's on the edge of the map, so there's not going to be anything there. But there's no point. Because all it will do is it will just annoy our neighbors for no real gain to us. Okay. So we're still building our recycling center. Everything's going to take a while to get going. And when you first produce units, it will actually take some turns as well for them to get up to full morale and full training. Okay, we found five machines. That's nice. We could sell those for money if we really needed money. Okay, that'll do. So here we got 1, 2, 3, 4. So we've got 4 in every direction, I think. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, pretty much. We can see my relationship with this faction has dropped to 29, and I don't know who they are. So now would be the time to just start creating a front line here. We've got enemies forming on our borders. Now we need to make a front line. So I need a unit here. This line here indicates that this is a different regime's area. So I'm going to move this one here. Now I've created a nice front line. And that's what you want to do, is actually create a wall around yourself. So be happy with this amount of space. This amount of space is enough for you to really build up and plan your life and all the rest of it. So be happy with this amount of space. Now just try and hold on to it. So if we check the assets tab, we have 0.5 turns left until the recycling center is done. which means that we owe it 66 production points or something like that, and we actually have 90, and we're generating a lot. This is a fast start because of this mechanized industries. You will take a lot longer to get this built, to bring up your metal. But anyway, in my case, I have the resources available, so I could now decide to build my truck stop if I wish, but I don't think my army's big enough to start worrying about supply just yet. Or I can start expanding my army, which is a great idea. So we'll do that now. It would be nice to have some buggies, but they are very heavy on production points, which is why I don't like them early, because production points are rare. And this is the thing, machine gun regiments require very little production points and very little metal and are very effective. So let's produce another set. In fact, let's produce a few more. Let's produce 3 more, that'll do. We can look at the OHQ versions of things, but we're going to need to secure our economy a lot more before we build one of these, and we'll have to secure a lot more recruits. But recruits will just filter in naturally from your town. You can adjust how much recruiting you do, but I don't recommend doing that. Don't recommend playing with any of that stuff if you're just getting started. The standard settings are absolutely fine the way they are. So just to explain these quickly, if you build a brigade, then what will happen is you'll get a unit that's like a commander, and within a radius of that commander, all of the units under him will gain tactical bonuses. So this will produce the commander unit plus 5 units of MG infantry. This will produce the commander unit plus 5 units of light infantry. The thing is, these units are not that great, although they are vastly better than militia. So you can get them, but I personally would just hang on to the idea of making loads of machine gunners early and actually just creating a wall around my starting town with them. And just handle any decisions that come in. Okay, this is someone next to me who doesn't like me. But they're willing to offer credits for sharing some military knowledge, which is not really going to cost us anything.
Yes.
Okay, and if I check the strategic map again, I should now know another regime near me. Raiders. Okay, so this is a dangerous regime, and it is wise to try and placate them or use a peace card, if possible. I don't have any right now, to try and make peace with them. They are going to be problematic at some point because they're going to have the military capability to be a pain in my backside. Lastly, militia forces, as well as not being very good, but they are self-replacing, they will fade away over time. They are provided by your town's militancy, and your town's militancy will decrease as you create regular forces. The more regular forces you create, the more this militancy level will drop, and as it drops, militia forces will fade away or be unable to reinforce, and eventually you'll lose them all. But they're not very good anyway, so don't shed a tear for them. Just carry on making your regulars, and don't worry about the militia. And that is it. Hopefully that'll get you started. So your main goals in life are to produce a recycling center or a metal mine if you have the opportunity to do so. Increase your industrial point production by building the Industry 1 building, but don't start that early because the metal cost is absolutely crazy. You can't afford it, so you're going to have to live on a shoestring for a while. We got very lucky here. And then just raise formations eke out a nice 4-tile wide safety net around your entire your city, around this whole area, and then carry on building army, building up your wall, and then when you're ready and your resources are good and all the rest of it, you can push outwards or push against some faction that's weak and actually take a second city and so on and so forth. That's it. That's all you need to worry about, which this took me 35 minutes to took me 35 minutes to actually explain all this, but that's cutting away a lot of the fluff of this game. Hopefully that will get you started. And that is it for now. I hope you found this guide useful, and I will see you guys next time.